Hey Stampers, H. Jane Harrington here with Calamity Stampede. I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up. Today I have for you a Father's Day card. So one of the comments that I see a lot is people have difficulty sending a card to their father or to another gentleman in their life because a lot of guys are not into the florals. And sometimes it's a little harder to find something that's going to suit your dad. So I'm going to show you a bit of a rustic card. I know my dad loves horses and cowboys and more rustic things, and honestly, a lot of ladies out there do too. So this isn't just a Father's Day card, but this would be a wonderful one if you want to send it to your dad. I'm going to show you how to make this step by step. So the main focal point is going to be the horse, but you'll notice behind the horse, I'm going to take this apart so you can see it. Behind the horse is leather. It looks like leather. But guess what? It is not. This is faux leather. I'm going to show you how to take cardstock and turn it into leather. So this is a fun technique. I use this a lot and it's not difficult at all. It's super, super easy. I'm going to show you how to do it. So first let's break down the things you're going to need. Keep in mind that most of the elements in this project are actually retiring. So if you want these products, you need to place a Stampin' Up! Order as soon as possible. And if you need a demonstrator, I can be your demonstrator. I'm having a workshop this month. So my May host code is right here. You can, when you go to stampinup.com, place your order and make sure you put that host code in. So let me show you the stamp sets you're going to need. You need Let It Ride. This is one of my favorite stamp sets because I'm a big horse lover. I love horses, I love the West, and so this speaks to me. Crackle Paint is one of my other favorites, and I'm so sad to see both of these sets retiring. These will not be in the new catalog that comes out in June, so if you want these, you need to act fast before they run out. So these are the two stamp sets you're going to need. You also need a sentiment. Now you'll notice I used this one that says Happy Father's Day. This actually came in the April Paper Pumpkin kit, but you can use any sentiment that you want. If you have another Father's Day, you could handwrite it if you don't. Otherwise, there are a lot of other sentiments that would work well with the set. So first of all, let me show you what kind of cardstock you're going to need. You're going to need a piece of mint macaron cardstock that is cut 5.5 by 8.5 inches, and you're going to score it at the 4.25 inch mark. So that gives you a standard size card. Now you'll notice I already stamped, so the first thing you're going to do is take your pretty Peacock ink and just stamp in Crackle Paint right on the top. To save time, I'm not doing that for you. It was just quicker for me to go ahead and do this ahead of time. So there is your base. Just stamp it in Crackle Paint in the pretty Peacock on the mint macaron cardstock. That's your card base, okay? Super simple. The next step is we're going to take a piece of pretty Peacock cardstock. You're going to cut it 4.25 inches by 2.5 inches. So here's 4.25, 2.5 inches. Now you'll notice again, I already embossed it. I used the Coastal Weave 3D embossing folder, which is also retiring. This is what it looks like. Oh, one of my favorite embossing folders. I love this. It came in the Tropical Oasis suite, and it is not carrying over. So if you want it, you better hurry and get it. If you don't have this, you can use any other embossing folder that you have, maybe the wood grain, maybe stone. So there are a lot of other backgrounds that would look really good. The hammered metal would look good, but I love the Coastal Weave. I went ahead and adhered this piece to it as well. This piece is the braided burlap trim. So I love that braided burlap trim. It is also retiring. So what we're going to do, there we go. There's the base of our card. So I am going to grab my adhesive, and here is my adhesive. I'm just going to use the tape runner real briefly. I'm just running my tape runner along the edges to make sure it stays down. And I'm lining it up at the bottom. I press down. There we go. Super simple. Okay. Now our focal element is going to be our horse. So the first thing you need to do is you need a square. This is Pool Party cardstock, and I used the die cut on the Big Shot. This is the large square. You'll notice that this particular one is stitched. If you don't have the stitched die, that's fine. I love the stitching. I think it's wonderful. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our Pool Party large square and we're going to adhere it here. Now, if I were to adhere it with the mono adhesive, look what's going to happen. It's going to bow. So go ahead and grab your dimensionals. I love my Stampin' Dimensionals because it makes things pop off the page. This card is going to have a lot of element, a lot of height to it because we're going to be using dimensionals. And you know, the 3D effect is so awesome. It's going to look dynamite. So I'm going to go, I'm not going to put it, you can put it this way if you want. I'm going to angle it like so, kind of make it like a diamond. And you'll notice I'm going to line it up in the center, and this is the dimensional down here is going to go over. So see, it's not going to bow in the middle there. So that's what we've got here. Okay, now how do we make our faux leather? Oh, you are going to freak, it is so easy. So easy. Watch this. So grab a Stampin' Spritzer. You're going to love the Stampin' Spritzers. They are awesome. If you don't have a Stampin' Spritzer, you can grab, you know, a hairspray bottle. Just put it on the mist setting, not the stream setting. All you're going to do is we're going to take a piece of, and this is just a scrap, you're going to take a piece of soft suede. So our soft suede, we're spraying it all over, and you can spray it on both sides with your Stampin' Mist or Stampin' Spritzer. Now watch, this is the fun part. Watch what I'm going to do. Crunch it up. Just crunch it. Be rough with it if you want to. Not too rough because you don't want to rip your paper. What we're doing here, the water is going to soften the fibers that are in the cardstock. Cardstock is, you know, it's kind of a bit of a weave. It has a fibrousness to it, if that's even a word, fibrousness. So what we're doing is we're softening up the fibers in that cardstock. Now when I open it up, look what's happening here. Can you see? When I get it close, there are little tiny crevices and creases, and if there's an area like this one doesn't have a lot, you can just scrunch it up a little bit more. Be careful because you don't want to rip it. It can rip. Stampin' Up's cardstock is very good quality, so it doesn't really rip that easily. But so here we go. Now I'm going to flatten it out, and there is our faux leather. Now it's fine this way. What you want to do is you want to leave this dry, or you can use your heat emboss tool on the low setting just to dry it a little bit faster. Now if you flatten it out, it's going to stay flat. If you don't want to flatten it too much, because you can actually take away some of the little crevices and creases. Those are what give it the leather look to it. Now here's another little tip. If you want to take your soft suede ink pad, this is optional, you don't have to do it. You can either lay it on the ink pad itself, or you can take a Stampin' Sponge, which I cut into quarters, and I'm just going to ink up the Stampin' Sponge and just kind of randomly dab a little bit of color on here. And it's gonna, if you go lightly, it's not going to get into all the crevices. It's only going to adhere to some of them. And so it gives you kind of an aged, weathered leather look. Can you see that? Yeah. So there's the difference. There's the other side, and here's the side with the ink on it. So I'm going to put that aside. So what I did was I went ahead and made up the leather piece, and I cut it out, again using my die cut with the stitched square. You don't have to use a stitched square. I love the stitching. I think it's wonderful. So I'm going to set this example piece aside. So now we want to put this, and instead of going this way with it, we're going to go straight on like so. But before we do that, if you happen to have some, you're going to love this stuff. I would run out and buy it because it's going to be retiring as well if you don't. This is the braided linen trim. You'll notice it's a little bit, if you look, here's the braided burlap trim. the braided linen trim is a little bit thinner each. There we go. And the color is a slightly more, almost Sahara sand, really. You can see the difference there. What I did was I just wrapped it 3 times and tied a knot at the top. Kind of give you a bit of a sort of a lasso effect, right? So we're going to be putting this here. And what I want to do, I want a little bit of overlap here. So maybe you kind of rope it behind and rope a few of these like so, maybe around, so that some of them are behind and some of them are in front. So how does this look? Yeah, that's pretty good. So when we put it down there, you see we've got some dimension with that, okay? So let's go ahead, and I'm going to put a little bit of the adhesive down to hold it in place in the back, like so. Okay, so now it's going to be held in place. It's not going anywhere. And this is where I'm going to, again, use my dimensionals. So I'm grabbing some Stampin' Dimensionals, and I'm putting them in the corners on the back as best as I can, like so. And for this one, I'm going to probably put one in the middle as well. So I'm peeling off my backs. Easy peasy. And now we've got our focal point for the horse to go on. So I'm just kind of lining that up, just like that. I'm going to make sure that that's sticking out so I can see it a little bit better. And there we go. I press it down. Now we're ready to put our horse on. This was simple. I took our Let It Ride stamp set, and I chose this stamp right here with this horse. And all I did was I stamped it and on crumb cake, and I cut it out. I just fussy cut it, no biggie. And here again, you can either just adhere it like that, but you know, I'm in love with dimensionals, you know that. So I'm using dimensionals again. I should have taken out stock in dimensionals. So there I'm putting my horse with the dimensionals on there. So see, we've got several layers here, which really gives it a nice look. You see there? We could leave it that way. It looks awesome that way. But we're not going to, because we need a sentiment, don't we? So I took a piece, just a little scrap of Pool Party, and I stamped the sentiment. Now again, this one came from the April Paper Pumpkin, the My Wonderful Family kit. But you can use any sentiment that you have or that you want. If you don't have a Father's Day sentiment, you can actually handwrite it. That's fine. I used the stitched rectangle to cut this one out. You could leave it like that and put it on there, but you know what? I want it to pop a little bit more, right? So what I did was I took another scrap of the faux leather that I made earlier, and this one I cut out. This particular rectangle was from the Stitched Rectangles die set, which is also, I believe, retiring. So when I put this behind, I thought, you know what? It looks cool that way, but there's a little bit too much there, and there wasn't another set or a size that worked the way I wanted it to. So this is what I did to resolve that. I took my Stampin' Snips and I just cut a little bit out of the middle, like so. So there's one piece, and I just cut a little bit more out of the middle. I discarded that middle part, and there we go. So now I've got 2 pieces. I'll go ahead and use the ones I already cut out. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to adhere these down, but at a bit of an offset, a little bit of an angle, and I'm going to kind of, you know, go sort of off just a bit like that, because to me that gives it more character, I guess you could say. So I'm using my tape runner. You can use adhesive, any kind of glue that you want. And I'm just going to go that way with that one. So that one's going to go straight on. So I'm just kind of eyeballing this here. So maybe this one's going to go over there, or it could go over this way. What do you think? I think I'm going to go with it over this way. So I'm going to put my adhesive on here. How did I have it? Like, what do you think? Like that? Yay. Okay. So there we go. Now the last thing is, again, I'm going to use my dimensionals. This one's pretty small. You can use mini dimensionals if you want. the big ones still do fit behind it, so the regular dimensionals are fine. I'm putting one in the middle because it might bow if you press on it, if you don't have that middle dimensional in there. So now I'm lining it up like so. There we go. Bam. Father's Day card is complete, and I guarantee your dad is going to love to get a card like this because he's going to know you put some thought and heart into it, and he's going to love these colors. These colors go really well together. Mint Macaron, Pretty Peacock, and Pool Party with the faux leather that you can make in just a few seconds. So there you have it. This is a wonderful, beautiful card to send to your dad or your mom. Hey, Mother's Day's coming up, and I tell you what, there's a lot of moms out there that love rustic and love horses as well. I'm one of them. Hint, hint. Children, my kids, if you're watching, you can send me a card like this. I would love it. But get out there and hurry up and order these if you don't have these sets, and if you want them, please hurry, because Stampin' Up! Is only going to have them until they sell out. Chances are, we're looking at the next week or two, they're going to be selling out of some of these. So if you want them, you better get a move on and place a Stampin' Up! Order before they sell out, because once they're gone, they are gone. So you tell your father Happy Father's Day, and I hope all you stampers are hanging in there. Keep on stamping, keep on smiling, and we will see you next time. Bye now.